This section is 9.5 quadrilaterals. What I want you to do is go ahead and copy down the shape that you see listed. Make sure you label the points 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then list what's below that. Go ahead and hit pause and let you copy that down. We'll explain further. Alright, what we have here are 4 angles, and angle 1, 2, 3, and 4. And according to our quadrilateral rules, and again, quadrilaterals are 4-sided figures. They also have 4 angles. If you take the measurement of angle 1 plus measurement of angle 2 plus measurement of angle 3 plus measurement of angle 4, it will equal exactly 360 degrees. Now, if you recall, we also did a lesson last week on triangles, and we learned that there were 180 degrees in both of those triangles, okay, or in one triangle. Well, if we look at this quadrilateral, if we cut it in half, go from one side to another, it creates 2 triangles. So if this is 180 degrees total in the angles, and this is 180 degrees in the angles, remember we have 2 triangles, add those together, and you get 360 degrees. Okay? That's how you know that you can come up with that angle. Let's look at the next one. I want you to go ahead and find the missing angle of x. Remember, a quadrilateral has again 360 degrees. So go ahead and hit pause and solve this problem. Alright, so now you have 40 degrees plus 146 plus 116. We add those together. We get 12, carry the 1, we get 4, plus 2 more is 10, carry the 1, and 302 degrees. That's how many degrees we have in these 3. Finding the difference from 360 degrees that we know are present in a quadrilateral, so subtract the 2, and when you do that, you get a total of 58 degrees, and that's what x will equal. Okay, let's look at the next one. Go ahead and solve this. You can hit pause. Alright, now we have this angle and this angle, which this little symbol right here means that we have 90 degrees. So 90 degrees plus 90 degrees, and we have this angle which measures 19. So we add this together, we get 9, we get 18 plus 1 is 19, so 199 degrees, and so we're going to take 360 minus 199, and we'll borrow, and we get 1, borrowed from the 6 to get a 5, cannot subtract, so we borrow again from the 3, and we get 9 minus 15, or 15 minus 9 I should say, is 6, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So 161 degrees is what x equals. Okay? Let's go ahead and look at the next one. These are our different types of shapes. Now what I want you to do here is go ahead and hit pause and write all of this down. And as you can see, these little symbols here, I want you to make sure that you write them in there as well. So go ahead and hit pause and do that. Now, when we look at a quadrilateral, it is simply a 4-sided figure. So all of these shapes, since they have 4 sides, they are considered a quadrilateral. If we leave from here and go straight over to a trapezoid, you can call it a quadrilateral. But what makes a trapezoid unique is that it has only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. They are not necessarily congruent, and if the other 2 sides are parallel, then it would not be a trapezoid. Only one pair to be considered a trapezoid. Let's go now from the quadrilateral to a parallelogram. Now a parallelogram excuse me, has, again, see these little lines right here, these little angles on it. That means that that side is parallel to the other side. This one has two of them, which means that these two lines are parallel to each other. Now this line has one line and this has one line, meaning that those two are congruent. And this line, since they're all the same, they could both be congruent. I can also put another line on here, so that there's two lines, meaning that this side is congruent to that side, but not congruent to the others. That would still make it a parallelogram. Okay. The opposite angles are also congruent. Okay. So what the definition of a parallelogram is simply opposite sides are congruent and parallel. Let's go down to the rhombus. Okay. Now a rhombus, it also has opposite sides that are parallel and congruent. Okay. These are also parallel. Okay. They are parallel to each other. Okay, so you could call this a parallelogram, but the difference is, okay, the difference in this is the fact that both of these, all four of the sides are, I'm going to erase those off of there, that all four sides are congruent. Okay, that's what makes it a rhombus. Look at the angles, they are not 90-degree angles, because what shape is also has four congruent sides? Well, that would be this, our square. It has four congruent sides, opposite sides congruent and parallel, so it's also could call this a a parallelogram. So now what we need to do is, since this has four congruent sides and this has four congruent sides, you could also call this a rhombus. Okay, so we can call a square a rhombus as well. Could we call a rhombus a square? No, because a square has to have four right angles. Okay. Now looking at my rectangle, again, it is also a parallelogram. Opposite sides congruent. They're also parallel, but what distinguishes a rectangle is that it has four right angles. Now what's the difference between a square and a rectangle? Well, the difference is, first of all, let's answer this question. Can you call the square a rectangle? And we can, because opposite sides are congruent, and they are, okay, and they have four right angles. So you could call a square also a rectangle. Here's where it gets tricky. Can you call a rectangle a square? And in this case, no, you could not, because a rectangle, you must have opposite sides congruent and parallel, but all four sides for a square have to be the same length. So this rectangle you could not call a square. It does not have four congruent sides. Okay, I know that gets confusing at times. The key is to continue to look back at the definitions, and we will have definitions in your at the beginning of your textbook of this section. So feel free to refer to those items. This says to classify. It's missing the word on here. It didn't come through, but it is classify the quadrilateral. So go ahead and hit pause and do that. Now, what are all the different shapes you can see in here? So for this end, all congruent sides, do they create right angles? And yes, I believe they do create four right angles. So we're going to call this a square. Okay. Looking at this one over here, we have four congruent sides, but are these right angles? I suppose you could say that they are. It's a little difficult to tell. I think they're off by a little bit to where this would actually be If you think that this is a right angle and this is a right angle and this is a right angle, then we definitely could not call that, but this one not a right angle. If that's not, then we could not call, well, actually it would have to be. If this is a right angle, then this would have to also be a right angle. So you could call that a square as well. Okay, you might see that, well, see, since these are all the same size, that would have to be a square. If these were not right angles, then you could call it a rhombus. Okay, if they were not right angles. So if we took these out of here and said that those did not create right angles, then we could call that a rhombus. Now the other two shapes that we have, okay, is this line parallel to this line. It's tough to tell. If you say that it is, then this would have to be a trapezoid. Okay, and if you didn't say that this line is parallel to this line, then it would just have to be a quadrilateral. Okay, this particular shape here, definitely these lines are parallel. We would call those a trapezoid. Okay, so that's the different shapes that you could end up having. Let's take a look at this one. Go ahead and this letter D and give me all the possibilities that you could have for letter D. Okay, list all possible shapes that you could call that. Go ahead and hit pause and solve that. Alright, well, the obvious for this is going to be a square. Okay, congruent sides fall 4 and 4 right angles. Okay, so we'll say that this is definitely a square. And it's not working now. There we go. Sorry about that. So we have 4 right angles, so we're going to call that a square. 4 sides, so it can definitely be a quadrilateral. This also could be called, can it be called a rectangle? Are opposite sides congruent and parallel and have right angles? Yes, so we can call it a rectangle. We could, can we call this a rhombus? A rhombus, again, is saying that it has 4 congruent sides. So yes, a rhombus. And are the opposite sides congruent and are they parallel? And they are, so we can call it a parallelogram. Okay, I think that's all you can say. Could this be a trapezoid? That's the big question. And in this case, no, it could not, because we have 2 pairs of parallel sides. On a trapezoid, you may only have 1 pair. Okay, opposite sides are both parallel to each other. Okay. Again, please refer to your book for reading the actual definitions of these particular shapes. That will help guide you through most of this. Many times in your assignment, it will also ask you for the best answer. So what would the best answer be for this particular shape? A square. Okay, that is definitely the best answer because it meets all those different criteria of a square. Okay, so go ahead and you can finish this out and work on your assignment, and good luck, and we can discuss it further tomorrow if need be. Have a great day.